Hey everybody, I'm getting set up still and just trying to get my iPad to sign in. So if you can hear me and see my machine, you're in the right spot. And let me just get this set up and then find my glasses real quick and I will be there as soon as I can. Hey Barbie, hey Jan, thanks for coming to join me. Yeah, I am almost ready to start. I've put my glasses down. They're not on my head. Oh, here they are. Well, here's a pair anyways. Getting older, man. You can't even get online to where you could have to read things if you don't have a pair of glasses to be able to see things anymore. All right, good. I'm not sure what kind of delay we're working at. Right now it's 8:34. Y'all tell me what time you hear this. On my iPad, I still cannot see my machine, so I might have to open and close it again. But I just have that to kind of help monitor any cards that come in. Let's see. Oops, wrong one. And then let's see. Let's see. Haven't been live forever, and I've never done it this way, so hopefully it works okay. Okay, that looks good on my phone. I can't see the back of my phone, so y'all let me know if I need to adjust anything. It's now 8:35 and y'all still haven't said anything, so I'm gonna assume it might be on a 2-minute delay like Barb's was the other day. I think it was Barb's anyways. I want to change my chat filter to all messages. There you go. All right, is my iPad in the way there? Kind of, but that's okay. You can't see anything identifying. Hey, Charisma. Is Kaylani up too? I'm going to be doing a farmer's market this weekend, and I wanted to get a few more of these made anyways, and somebody actually ordered one from my, oh goodness, I forgot you work late sometimes now. I'm glad that I got an order in for one of these because I didn't realize that I was out of them, and I was going to go through my list tomorrow anyways, but this works. So I wanted to get on earlier, but I'm not used to this side of the desk being shown, so I had to rearrange a little bit and get everything set up okay. All right, I'm showing 5 people are viewing. If you can hear me, go ahead and let me know what time it is because I'm trying to see what kind of delay we're working with. Right now it is 8:37. So let me know at 8:37 when you guys are hearing it. Of course, I'm Eastern Standard Time, so you don't have to do the configuration. Just let me know the minute portion. And while we're doing that, 8:37 for Jan, okay. Let me find my USB stick that I just had. There it is. I was gonna say, I thought I just saw it. No delay for Charisma. All right, good. That means we're good. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started then because this is recording live. One of the things I struggle with is getting time to edit videos. I do a lot of recording and then just never get to a chance to edit them. So I figured this might be kind of a 2 birds, 1 stone situation. So what I'm going to do first is scoot some of this stuff out of my way. And let me see if I can play this maybe, but no volume. That way I don't have a feedback. Because I do want to see a live view of my machine. I just don't want to hear what's going on. Let's see. Oh wow, my video, maybe it's, oh, it's not caught up. Let me get it caught up. I was like, it was just showing me move that stabilizer. All right, test 2, arm, 8:38. Okay, well, at least I'll know kind of, even if it's the last few minutes. All right, so I'm going to get started. The first thing that I wanted to let you guys know is that I am using this design from String Theory Fabric Art. Ricky has some amazing, amazing designs, and this one just happens to be hers. It is one of the Wonder Woman keychains, and I do them just with the rivet instead of a snap tab. However, you can do them with the snap tab as well. This is one that I created, and then the other one that I do is on blue vinyl. Same colors, just blue vinyl instead of the white vinyl. So we're going to be making that tonight. I like to try to make 2 hoops with one. I'm using my Brother PE800 embroidery machine. It's a single needle machine, flatbed machine. I know they have a 900 out now. Really interested in looking at that, but I also would prefer a multi-needle, even if it's only like 4 or 5 needles. Anyways, we're gonna hoop these up on black tearaway stabilizer. I've got one hooped, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to hoop it for those of you that are maybe new and coming across this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. My friend Jan is kind of helping me with that. I'm new to doing this YouTube thing, and she's an amazing moderator, so I am going to leave everything in her hands. I'll try to help her, but she's going to help me probably more than I'm going to help her. Oh yeah, you like the rivets too. I like snaps, but at the same time, for me personally, I do prefer rivets. So rivets, not rivets. And I just like, if I'm going to take it off and change it, I'm going to just take the whole thing off. And I'd prefer to be able just to unclip it and then put a new one on and swap them out that way. So I'm just going to be measuring up. Can you see this? No, you can't see this below. Let's see. Well, I was waiting so that y'all could see that, but maybe I can lower this. Hang on. Let's see. Oh yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, you guys will probably like that view better too. Let me know if you guys want me to raise it back up while I'm doing this. Yes, amazing. Jana's amazing. I watch her moderate yours, and she is on the ball all the time. And I did send her, the information of some of the products I'm using in case they're not the same thing she uses. But I will also reply to comments later. The live comments won't probably show up, I think, for about 48 hours. So after I see them show up, then I will definitely get back to any questions. So what I'm doing is I just cut the tearaway stabilizer. This is my bottom hoop, which is the biggest hoop, at least on my machine. Everything I say is going to be based on my machine and the way I do things. It may or may not be right. You may do it a different way. That's perfectly fine. But just make sure you know that everybody has their own little, quirks and kinks, and we find a different way to do them. And this just happens to be mine. So this is my stabilizer, and I'm going to go a ½ inch to 1 inch on the outside. I don't like to waste any more than that. Sometimes I'm too thrifty and it bites me, but for the most part, it tends to, whoops, dropped my iPad. It tends to work out pretty well. So I am normally a fast talker, so if I need to slow down, please let me know. Yes, Barb's pretty dang amazing herself, isn't she? And Tony. You can't get better than Tony, right? I mean, I guess I should say my John is better because, he's mine, but Tony is pretty dang awesome. When we went to the Coosa Mountain Lodge for the sewing retreat in let's see, I guess that was the end of June. He went, we were out in the boonies basically, and he did quite a hike, metaphorically, in his vehicle, to get everybody Starbucks each morning. Even though we had like the greatest, amenities, like, some people still like their Starbucks. So we really truly appreciated that. Even those of us, I don't drink coffee, and I appreciated it. All right, so once you hoop it, you want to definitely kind of do the finger drum test. It should make about that kind of sound when you're done. That is the new Brothread, I guess is how you say it. I don't really know. Am I in the scene? Yeah. It's the embroidery stabilizer. It's tearaway. I get the black 1.8 ounces, 50 grams. And I do buy it in the larger rolls just because I bought it once so far, and I haven't needed to buy any since I've started. So I just prefer to do it as little as I can. All right, my iPad is showing a little bit of a delay, so if I'm going too fast or anything, y'all just let me know. I'm just going to kind of move along through the system here because it's later than I anticipated getting started. So the first thing I'm going to do is change out my bobbin and my thread, which depending on how often you do your stitching, you should do it, in my opinion, if you're stitching like 8 hours a day, which unfortunately I'm never able to do because physically my body just does not allow that, then you're going to want to switch out. In my opinion, what I do is I switch out every 8 hours of sewing time. I honestly don't remember the last time I changed the needle on this because I've been focusing more on my sewing versus my embroidery. So I'm going to go ahead and change that needle out, I think. Let me take a look at it. Actually, you know what? That looks like it's probably a brand new needle. So one thing that I do, the needles that I use are the Organ brand 7511 needles. And one thing I do, again, I buy them in bulk, but one thing I do is I write on here the date of when I'm changing my needle because I have various machines, and this just kind of helps me remember, okay, that like my sewing, I don't use this needle. This is just my embroidery. And I don't remember what I embroidered last, so, but it shows that my needle was changed on 6/11, and I know that I went to the retreat at the end of June, and wait, no, that can't be right, because only today is 6/11. I didn't change it already, did I? No, I'm sure I didn't. Anyways, I don't know. That's what I try to do, so we'll just still use it as an example. But my needle does look good, and I do have memory issues, so it wouldn't really shock me if I did change it and forgot, but I don't think I did. Anyways, put a piece of tape on there, and then you can, you know, notate when you change it if you use multiple machines. This is when I've changed on my my main sewing machine. Oh, maybe I wrote it on the wrong thing. This is my sharps container. It's an old medicine bottle. When I babysit, I don't have to worry about if my little niece can get into it. She's 7, but she's still little. They're all little. And then I just put my old sewing needles in there and embroidery needles so that I can just toss the whole thing and not worry about anybody getting poked or stabbed. I just took off the identifying information. And then this is my sharps container. So when I'm done with my X-Acto knife, I couldn't remember the name of it for a second, I, you know, put those in here as well. Anything that's sharp that could possibly stab somebody. And then I write on a piece of tape the date that I changed it. This says 4/18, which lines up more with when I would have changed this needle. So I think it's there. I don't know what the 6/11, and for all I know, that could be last year's. But I just keep these in a little package. And oh, was it the first week of May? So maybe it's, this says 4/18, so that probably is when I changed it. And I don't recall embroidering anything. The last thing I embroidered, you know what, that makes sense. That would be about the same time. It was my logo that I got embroidered, I mean digitized by somebody, and I was just doing it for a specific project that I haven't done yet. And so that would make sense. I did change it so it had a new needle. This is the only thing that I've stitched out since that needle change. So we'll go with that. So yeah, the retreat was the first full week of May. We've had a very rough time in the family. We had, my brother-in-law passed away the first night of the retreat. So everything from the start of the retreat and a couple weeks leading up to it, actually, too, up until basically yesterday, has been nonstop go, 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 go. And so my dates and times might be a little off, but yeah, that sounds right. So there's my thread. Oh, also what I do, for those of you like myself that use a lot of different types of things, stabilizers and things like that, what I do is when I get it in, you know, it comes with that like plasticky stuff that you don't keep on there. I cut out the part that has what it is and I stuff it down. Let's see, are you in this frame? No. I stuff it down in here, and then that way I know when I use this what it is. Now, I use it often enough that I can just kind of hold it up and I can see how well I can see through it. And I do kind of try to keep it stored in a separate place. But here's my white tearaway, and then this is my, I'm sorry, my black tearaway. And then this is my white tearaway. So I don't know if you can really tell, probably not. but you can see through it a lot better than you can like the permanent or let's see, Tearaway. What's the other one called? Not Tearaway. I'll get back to that when it pops into my head. And then I keep bobbins. I ordered them by the box, which happens to be right here as well. You can order a box of colored embroidery bobbins or bobbins in general. Or you can order white. And so this, I just happened to order this not too long ago. Some of them dumped out. I dropped it, so they fell out. But it comes in all these varieties of colors. And so what I did was I just grabbed the bobbin color is going to be the bottom color of thread. And generally speaking, that's on the back side or underside of your garment or whatever you're embroidering. So like this yellow one here, I would have chosen a white normally, but I really wanted that yellow to show through. So this time I am going to change it to the blue because it's going to be on blue vinyl, and yellow and blue, I mean, it can look cool, but then it can also look not so cool. So I'm just going to change it to the, from the white to the blue. And I just get these at the dollar store. I've got one for each machine I use. Let's see. Oh yeah, no, I get the color. And actually, to be quite honest, these same bobbins, they actually work inside of my Juki TL 2010Q. And I'm able to use them there too, which was just kind of an added bonus. So for me, I'm not going to go through a whole lot of tutorial information once we start, but just in case somebody happens upon this, for my particular machine, my Brother embroidery machine, you're going to have what I call a P. And most of the time you're going to have it on your machine, which way your bobbin goes in, or you're going to just get to know. So I'm just going to get this threaded real quick. I cleaned it out. Oops, there it is. I'm usually still working on my right side, but now I'm having to get used to my left side. Put that back on top. Okay, and then let me see, where can I move this to? I'm going to move this over just a little bit. Sorry for jostling y'all around. Okay, there it is. Might be a little shaky. Let's see. Thank you for linking everything for me, Jan. I used to be an affiliate, and then when I wasn't using YouTube, I lost it. I just need to reapply, and I figure I'm not going to bother until I actually start using my machine, or until I start uploading more often. So it's just not a priority. So anyways, to go back kind of what I was saying, a lot of times when you embroider, you just use one hoop. But me, I kind of like to piggyback it is what I call it. I'm going to show y'all what that means once we get started. But I'm going to first pull my machine a little bit closer. You want to make sure that you have plenty of space going all the way around for all of your machines. Let's see, how's the view? Okay. I'm going to keep this in here. And the reason I chose the black is just because I thought it would be a little less see-through than the white tearaway stabilizer would be. Okay, so the color of threads that I'm going to be using on this one, I prefer the Madeira, the long cones. I think it's 5,500 yards. It lasts forever and ever. This one is color red, and its number is 1838. It's a nice, shiny, in my opinion, red. And then the regular basic white is 1801. And this is Polyneon thread, so it's super strong. You can singe the ends so that you know, it doesn't go unraveling. It works great. And then I'll also be using, I believe this is the new Brother type as well, but it doesn't say on the cone. But it's a nice bright shiny yellow. Those are the 3 colors of thread that I'm going to be using. Okay, with String Theory Fabric Art. I'm trying to get this in the shot. That's who created the design. I do have a USB from them, but it doesn't have this particular file on them. I use this thing called a dongle, which is just a silly little word for a long USB cord. It attaches to my machine so that when I'm taking things in and out, USBs, is that what it's called? When I'm taking the USB drives out, or flash drives, instead of it going in and out of my machine and possibly causing me to have to replace a part in my machine down the road, I can replace this. And I think it was like $8. I forgot to link that, but it's just a dongle, D-O-N, let's see, G-L-E maybe? I don't know. Anyways, you put it in there. Let me get rid of my mouse. I'm not going to need that anymore. Let's see. And then I have found, and many people do this, if I'm using my small threads, my small, let me try this again. My small spool of threads, I can put them inside here. So I'm just going to put that in there now. It's not the first color I'm going to use. I'm pretty sure you won't be able to see this digital display here, but I'm still going to talk it through in case somebody with a PE800 happens to be, you know, using YouTube and looking for help. Maybe it would help. Whatever I'm doing will help them. Down at the bottom right side, you're going to have a flash drive. That's going to be what you're connected here on your dongle, D-O-N-G-L-E maybe. I'm still a little... Yeah, Jan, it works great, right? I didn't even ever think about using it. I didn't hear about one of these until till I started embroidery, and I was still waiting on my machine and somebody suggested it. And I was like, yes, let's go back and order one of those. So that's what I did. All right, so I'm just gonna find my design. It tells me that my 5x7, which is my biggest hoop, is the hoop that I'm gonna use. You select your design, hit set. Again, this is not a tutorial. I'm not gonna slow down and go through it, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you have in the comments after the live. During the live might be a little bit harder, but after, you know, I'll definitely be happy to get back to you. The little red line shows you that's around your design is going to show you where your outer borders are. So if it was too big to fit this hoop, it would show like these. They have like that little zero with the line through it, like the nope, you're not allowed to do that. It would show that on the large one as well. Once I select that, I'm going to hit end edit. This is the screen where this right here, it's like a dash number and then like an arrow around it. That's going to be, let me see where my camera placement is. Hopefully you can see. I know you can't, it's kind of dark. I was running out of time. I don't know how else to get any light back there for right now since I don't use this machine often. I'm working on rearranging my room a little bit. I'll deal with all that down the road a little bit. But basically what you want to do is put your lever, presser foot down, and then you're going to push this button here, and it's going to rotate all the way around your design, and you'll make sure if you're going to hit a hoop, you'd rather hit it before you start embroidery. I don't want to hit a hoop at all, so I just make sure that I'm well within those. And then you hit that button, and then again, you're going to hit the dash button with the arrow. And it goes around. Maybe I can pick this up while it's doing that. And if it touches, then obviously it's going to be too big. But I'm pretty good about staying within those. Uh-oh, what's going on now? Okay, sorry about that. Let me try to raise you up a little bit now that we've started. Okay, I think that's still good. Okay, so as it went around, it didn't touch any edges. It didn't get too far, so we're good to go there. Now, the first thing I'm going to want to do is, well, I'm going to hit OK because that works. Then I'm going to hit embroidery. Okay, the first thing it's telling me is my first color is going to be yellow. So I leave that on presser foot up. Okay, presser foot up, and then you never want to pull your string or your thread through this way because then the little pieces of thread and fuzz that collects within your machine is going to possibly jam up your machine. What I do, because I hate to waste thread, and you would think that, you know, I never have money for thread the way that I like to hoard it, but I just gently go back around the same way I traced, or threaded in, I should say, all the way down, and then I pull it out because you know, thread may stop being produced. Who knows? So I'm going to go ahead and thread this up. Whoops. What did that get caught on? Sometimes these little stickers, yeah, they like to cause issues. So until I can address that, let me just squeeze it down there because the thread will get caught on it otherwise. It's just an empty coffee cut. What in the world? Oh, it's still tied. Duh. I'm pretty sure I've used it. I don't know why it's acting like I've never used it before. I wouldn't have tied it back like that. All right. Try this again. So you're just going to follow your thread path. Every machine is different, but they're all fairly the same. I like to hold my finger right here so it kind of makes it hold on tighter. Then I come back through, cut it off there. This is where I keep all my threads. Oops. In a big old glass cookie jar. That's all the cuttings for my threads. It's really big. My goal is to one day make, trying to get this right, sorry. One day make a stuffed animal using all the threads that I could have thrown away, but I didn't. Okay, in order to use the automatic threader on your embroidery machine, you need to have your presser foot down. I've found the same has been true for any sewing machine I've been on, so I'll just leave that up to your manual for you to find out. And then once you're down, you just hit that button, it goes right in. I have neuropathy, so I have a hard time feeling the tips of my fingers and stuff sometimes. I just use whatever's around me and kind of pull it through. Okay, and then another thing I wanted to show you guys what I do is whenever I'm working on a design, usually I'll use a printer for the first time I do a design, but if it's something I know that I'm going to use a lot, I use these little note cards. And I just have a, where'd it go? Oh, I had it right here, right under. I just, from the Dollar Tree, get my note cards and a 3x5 index card holder, and then I get the details written down so that I'm not wasting paper by printing it. And then I put like the name of whatever I call it anyways, of the design I'm working on. I put how many steps and how many items per hoop. So this one is going to be 2 items on this one hoop, although it's going to be, I believe, 11 or 12 steps. I think 11. Yeah, 11. And then I put what color vinyl and then, you know, what color stabilizer. So like this one will say blue vinyl, or this one says start at bottom. That's a good thing to make sure I note, because it's going to go down to the bottom of the hoop and that's where it's going to start stitching and go up. It's just the way that I do it. I know there's easier ways to do it. I have the embroidery software to do it. I just haven't had time to invest in learning that part yet. And I know that you can sort, but I just don't do that. So I put blue vinyl and black stabilizer, and then I start with outline. So then once I'm on a step, like this says outline steps 1, this particular design anyways, was 1, 6, and 11. Then I put the thread color, and then I put the thread number, so that when I remake this, if somebody orders it, each one looks the exact same, barring, you know, any personal issues I might have cutting it out or something. So that's just another idea for you guys to use if you embroider things and you don't want to waste paper by printing everything out. Okay, before I get started, I'm gonna just check the comments real quick. If it touches what? Are you talking about this here or when this was going around? If it touches the frame, you'll have issues. I think that might be the part that you were talking about. So I'm going to get started. Up here, it'll show me what the first step is, which doesn't match what I have. So I'm a little curious about that, but either way, the first outlining step, I'm not going to put any vinyl. This is just my stabilizer so that I know where the vinyl goes. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to go ahead and go, and I'll check the comments again in a minute. Yep, it was the top one. This is a full outline. Are you guys still able to hear me okay? Okay, good. I'm glad I answered that question. My iPad is showing a little bit of a delay, but I promise either myself or Jan will answer you as soon as we see it. Yep, your placement stitch. I have not embroidered in a while, let alone talked out loud while I'm embroidering, so I may sound a little lost, but I promise I do know what I'm doing. Okay, so that was my outline stitch, so that's going to be steps 1. And then I think it was 6 steps in each thing. So usually what I do is I hit the plus or minus, which is going to be plus or minus either your stitches or your steps. I'm sorry if you can hear my cat. He hears me talking and he's trying to get my attention in another room. So I'm going to go to step 7 because I think it's going to be step 7. Nope, it's going to be step 6. Okay, and step 6, sometimes it does this, which is why I need to learn my software. I just haven't had a chance to yet. It's going to stitch out 2 things. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my vinyl. While that yellow is cut, I'm just going to flip it. I know you don't have to flip your design or your hoop over as often as I do, but I find it gives me better stitch outs. So like, here's what the front part stitched, just to show you guys. And then here is what the back side stitched. I'll put in my hand so that you can actually see it. So if I weren't to come back here and trim this up and clean this up, it could cause a thread nest. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't have time for all that. So see how you can see the blue, maybe, the blue string, or I'm sorry, the blue thread? That's why I chose blue since it's on vinyl. So let me just clean this up real quick. Oh, I gotta get my... Now that I'm embroidering, my sewing desk is a mess. It was cleared off, but I just threw everything over there, and I need my tweezers because I can't feel things right. So I definitely need them. It's a matter of finding them. I was just using them. Oh, I know where they are. I was using them on the couch last night. Look familiar, anybody? This is the bag that I'm currently working on. It's called an oxbow, but I can't remember. Spencer Ogg made it, I think. I think she designed it. If not, Jan will correct me. But that's where my tweezers were because I was on the porch last night. I mean, sorry, not on the porch, on the couch last night, cleaning it up. And I have to fix my zipper. I put it in upside down. So I have to unpick the zipper, which is awful. I hate it, but you know, can't move on without fixing it. Okay, so I just trimmed that up, but what I'm gonna do, let me lower you back down so y'all can see what I'm doing. Tux buddy, I'm sorry, I'm busy. Whoops. Okay, there you go. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, because I like to only use as much as this as I have to, I try to cut it only, you know, exactly what I'm going to need so I don't have a lot of waste. And then just mark it with my finger where I'm cutting it. Which sometimes I bite myself in the foot. Oops, that turned a little more than I thought it was. But for the most part, it works out well. Okay, and then I'll cut the back side in just a minute. So once I put this back in the hoop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the placement stitch just like that, and then stitch down again. Well, I'm going to move on to the next step, not stitch down again. Okay, so that step 1 showed where I needed to cover. Oops. But step 6 is going to do that stitch plus a couple, and I'll show you once that's done. I guess I'll leave it right there since maybe there's like a halfway. I want to show when I'm cutting things. There you go. Let's try that. And y'all let me know how that looks once we move forward a little bit. So I'm just going to write outline. That was just step 1, so that's just 1. The next one I'm going to do outline again and then put steps 6 on there because that's the next thing I did. And I'll show you why it's going to look different. It's doing a couple more stitches than the first one did. Let me check the comments real quick while I'm looking. I'm not seeing anything. I think I have it on all comments or all messages, something along them lines. So what's everybody else been working on while I'm waiting on this step? I know quite a few of us have gone to the same retreat together, so I haven't been active because we were in California, but things are just starting to slow down for me from that trip, so I'm actually starting to get to where I'm able to work on things again. This weekend on Saturday, I'll be doing the local farmers market. I'm going to pare down a lot of what I was bringing to my craft fairs because I just haven't been selling as much, and I think the booth is getting a little overwhelming. So it's getting overwhelming even just to set up and sit at all day also. So I'm gonna pare back and bring kind of my bare bones, what I was bringing prior to sewing bags, and basically my little pouches and anything I was doing on my embroidery machine was selling really well. And so I'm gonna bring that, my keychain setup and stuff like that, and just kind of go from there and see how it works. I'm looking at my iPad and it still has me just now putting the hoop in, and it's almost done stitching what I'm looking at now, at least the top portion. So I'm not sure how big the delay is. It's 9:11 right now. I feel kind of like the what was it, the old time when you would call and it would tell you what time it was or what time things were showing. This is what it looks like. And then if you can see close enough, on here it's just a picture, but like the green shows you where it's at now, if you can see that little green crosshairs moving. But in this little picture right here, it's going to show, like right now there's a top one and a bottom one. It's going to do the bottom outline. And then the next step is going to be the red color. Sorry for the shaking. I just know I'd probably be a little bored if I came to see an embroidery video and I couldn't actually see it. You can color sort using the same embroidery software I have to avoid like doing it like steps 1 and da 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 and steps 3 and blah blah blah. But that's just, every time I've done it, it's just caused me issues. So I personally don't like trying to color sort. I'm not trained enough in the software to know what it is I'm doing wrong. I'm just going to cut that jump stitch real quick so it's out of the way. I'll show you that in a minute whenever I'm taking the thing off. Does anybody have any questions? I'm not sure how many people are still with us other than Jan. And it might just be Jan and I, and that's fine if it is. But if you have any questions and you're watching this on the replay, then feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to you. All right, so let's see, step 7 shows red. Let's see what step 2 is showing. Is red as well. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take it out. This is what it looks like right now. Where are we at? Okay. This is the thread that I just, the jump stitch that I trimmed off. And then that's what the back looks like. Let me just get that trimmed up. Again, some people just do this at the end. Even if it's going to cover it, I don't want the integrity of the snap tab or key fob or whatever it is I happen to be working on. I don't want that to be compromised. So I like to clean it up as I'm going. And it does add some time, but I would much rather, you know, do it and clean up as I go and take that extra time than not do it. Okay, so now I got a nice clean front, a nice clean back. I'm gonna pop it back in. I'm not gonna trim them apart yet. I'll do that here in a few minutes when I need to add the back piece. But now I'm going to a color change. So let me try to raise this up just a tiny bit, because I feel like you can see a little bit better on that one. Okay, so now again, I go kind of backwards. If it gets stuck, sometimes it gets stuck and I'm afraid, or I get it looped around there, then I have no problem pulling it, like trimming, cutting and then just pulling out the bottom. But if I can, I like to, sometimes it loosely comes out just like that, but I don't ever pull it. Since this is the only color that I'm using that will go in here, I'm just going to place that in there and move this over here on the side. The next color is going to be red. I'm so sorry. Can you guys hear my cat? He's in the other room, but he sure don't sound like it. Where's the black cone? Got a black cone that this is posted on. Let's see. Can you see up that high? Yeah. Yeah, you can see. So on my cones, I place them on the side, but not right where it's going to get the thread pulling the turn, the knob. But if you put it up this way, this helps act as like the thread guides. And I just go straight through there. And again, that was like probably a 10 pack for $1 or something at Dollar Tree. And then I just follow the same threads. And then I just hold my thumb there to hold it solid. Because again, I don't even like throwing that away. Like, I know it's weird, but I'm sure I'm not the only one. Press her foot down, thread my needle. That time I don't need to get any little curlies out. I'm gonna go to step 2. Everything's down, move my hands and hit go. Now I will say, if you're somebody who likes to like do like this, hold a chopstick in your hand so that if you have to feel like you throw your hands in the way, you're using this to get hurt instead of your fingers. I've never done that, knock on wood, and I'm hoping not to start now. I stopped before I got to where the red thread started, and I'm just going to trim that little stitch and hit go again. As it's stitching, I'm going to get back to my little index card here, and I'm going to write, this is step 2, but I'm going to go down here, and I try to put what it is. So I'll put like start a part, or I'll just put even part. Like, I don't care what it is. It just lets me know it's going to start something else, and I want to do this color, this step on the machine. Oh, and then I forgot to put on this side. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So this is the heart. Step 2, and I know it's going to be at least one more color because I'm doing 2 designs at one time. Sorry, I was watching my thread because I heard a sound over here. I see that it's touching my dongle thingy here, so I'm just going to move it. So let's see, the outlines, those were both yellow. Oh, there's my little sticker. My little sticker fell off. I put it on the bottom to hold it, but it doesn't like being on. So then like this right here, this might be a good time to show you. The thread color on that new Brothread thread, it was 205. So because I have like 4 or 5 different shades of yellow, I'm just gonna put this inside and then smush down on the cone to hopefully get it. Nah, it's popping up all over the place. I'll have to fix it after. Well, it might stay in there at least. And then that way I know it was yellow 205 that I used and not 305 or something like that. And then the red was 1838. And that was the Madeira Polyneon thread. So now, just to show you kind of what we're working with, outline was step 1, that's color yellow, number 205. Outline, that's step 6. I know I'm going to have to go to another step, so I just put a comma. Yellow, I'm sorry. I will have to go back to yellow, but maybe not for that outline. The heart here, 2, comma, because I know it's gonna take me to at least one more step. Red and the color number. And that's just what I do to make it easier on myself. Let's see if I can show you the embroidery. That's the part we're on now. That thread that's on the inside here, it's gonna have to do that step here as well. So that's what I was trying to say. I know I'm not done with the red. I know it's gonna be another step. I'm just gonna have to go down in my step list. And then here's a closer shot of what it's looking like on there. All right, I'm gonna lower this just a tad. There's the thread going off too. I know you can't see it, but I'm watching it to make sure it doesn't get caught up in that wheel right there. Usually I have it behind the machine, but I don't want to have to keep getting up and getting in front of the camera. So I'm just keeping a real close eye on it. If I see anything that makes me need to hurry up and stop the machine, like emergency, like do it now, then what I do, hang on, my foot is, I would hit this because it stops immediately. And then that is just a safety feature, which I really love. And again, this is what we're making. From String Theory Fabric Art, I'm just adjusting some of the colors. The red and white and yellow threads are still going to be the same colors, but instead of the white vinyl, it's now going to be navy blue. So it'll be this color instead of the white. And then another thing I changed was I wanted the yellow to kind of stand out on the back instead of look like white threading. So I had a yellow bobbin in this one, but this one's going to have a blue bobbin. And I did that because it's going to be just enough, I think, shade of color that it's going to be, it's going to look nice. I think. I hope. That's what the last one looked like, so hopefully I do it all right and it looks the same way again. And those are just small details. Like, people when they buy things from you, they typically don't realize everything that you're putting into the design that you're making. Even though I didn't create this design, the one that I'm selling is going to be what I've created with my hands, and changing the colors and sometimes even piecing together different. Like if I wanted to just do this without putting the Wonder Woman part in the middle, then it could be just like a Mother's Day or, something like that, where like this would be a good like fire department, like their fire department colors, things like that. So you can kind of, I call them hack, and some designers encourage that and some don't. But Ricky at String Theory Fabric Art, she loves seeing the things that people create and come up with using the designs that she has created. And she's usually pretty supportive when you share those within the group. She does ask that we don't share other people's designs, which is totally respectable. So if I were to post this, I wouldn't post it with, say, all of my keychains. I would try to, you know, group together all of my string theory fabric art designs. I'll try to get all those in one, you know, picture instead. So I know this is a live. I can't fast forward it or play any music, of course, over it, and there's not a whole lot of people watching, but I appreciate those of you that are. But if you have any questions about myself, my business, or the design I'm stitching up, feel free to say something, and I'll be happy to answer your questions as we're waiting for this to stitch up. And I'll show you again in just a few minutes what it looks like. And I guess I could just say this is the ASMR part of the program. If you're like me and you like to listen to things stitching out anyways, whether it's a sewing machine or an embroidery machine, it doesn't matter to me. I like hearing it all. I'm going to try to raise this up just a little bit while it's stitching so you can get a better view of that. And then I'll pull it back down. Which one's not going to go in here? I'll pull it back down as as it gets through, and then that way you can see. We'll call this the ASMR portion of the program then. I can put a in the after it's uploaded, I can edit in the description and put timelines. So I'll put an ASMR tag. That bumping that you hear, it's going over a certain part of it. Don't worry, I'm not going to put my fingers any closer. It's going over a certain part of it, so it's just a little thicker. I'm used to the sounds that my own machine makes, and I know that that's nothing to be concerned about right now. However, if you hear that on your machine and that's not what your normal machine sounds like, then you definitely want to stop and investigate why it's making that sound. All right, so let me show you where we're at now. That's what just stitched out. But I want to, because this came as one design, so I just multiplied the design and doubled it. I want the red to be down here, so now I'm going to go down. But first, since I'm checking anyways, this is what the back is looking like. Because I cleaned it up last time, I just have these two little strings. I don't know if that's at an angle where you can see. But anyways, there's just two short strings right there. I'm going to trim those off again, though, because I don't like to worry about a nesting. And then also, because I did hear that kind of bumping sound that I was just talking about, that was over this part right here. And so it was going over, like it has stitched, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here you'll see a little bit of a, it looks a little bumpy, but it won't when it's done. It'll blend in well. Let's see which side's that on. But that's right here. And like you can see right here, it's starting to lift just a teeny tiny bit. That's what was causing the bumping sound. I don't know if y'all will be able to tell or not, but it's okay for my machine. It won't do that. Once it gets a little bit fuller and that other vinyl's under there, you'll start hearing the difference of sound. Okay, so I'm gonna go back down. I'm gonna put this right back in the hoop. I mean, sorry, not the hoop. You don't want to remove anything from the hoop in the middle of a job. So I want to go back down. I think it was step 7 that needed red. Yes. Step 7 is going to put the red part of the heart. While that's happening, I don't see any questions that I need to answer. I'm going to try to gracefully back up and let you guys get a little bit of ASMR, and let my cat out real quick. I'll be right back. Before I leave, though, I do want to go ahead and pull this up and trim it. Because it's a single needle, sometimes you have to do that. I'll be right back. I just realized you might not have been getting ASMR. I forgot I have my AirPods in. Sorry, guys. I'm not a professional. I just pretend to be one. Oh, I swear that was not what it sounded like. I was just putting lotion on. After this next step, I think you'll be able to see a little bit better once I do that. again, those of you that may have just joined or just watching at this time, my machine, those are normal loud noises. I know that just in the process of making this design, some places are a little bit louder than others because it's going over places that have already been stitched. If your machine doesn't typically make those kind of sounds, I would strongly encourage you to stop it and check it out and make sure everything's good. Mine, I know, are normal sounds at this point. Some are just a little bit louder than others, and part of that is because of the speed that I put to stitch at. But definitely get to know your machines and get to know what is and is not normal so that you can possibly prevent something before it gets bad. I have decided also, even though I already have it hooked up to do 2 more, it's already getting kind of late and I'm getting kind of tired. So I'm just going to stitch out these 2. I can do the other 2 tomorrow. But basically what I would do, and I'll make another video when I do this, maybe an actual video instead of a live. But normally what I do is I stitch, say, step 1, the outline, and I'll do it on that hoop and this hoop using the same color. And then I'll go to the next step and then, you know, repeat that. And it really, really cuts down time when you're trying to do duplicates and you're on a single needle. On a multi-needle, you can usually have a bigger embroidery hoop. My biggest is the 5x7 and 5x7 inches, and so at the most I can get it on a hoop for this design is 2. I do have some other designs that have 4 on 1 hoop, just because I get creative on how to put them in there. But sometimes the multi-needles, they have, you know, 10 by, I mean, I don't even know, like 6x10 type hoops. Like, they're really big compared to mine. Oh. That was funny. Oh, God, Lacey, what I can. Oh, gosh, Kinsey. Come here. My dog came in, and that's what it was that just tapped the thing and scared the bejesus out of me. I'm scared, Mama. My husband knows I'm on live, so he let her in very quietly, and it was too quietly. Can you get up there? I'm the problem. Say, yep, it's me. I'm the problem. Oh, I love you too, baby. Anyway, so what I was trying to say is multi-needles can hoop up many more, and their machines are usually a little bit, or quite a bit louder, so they may be used to hearing those kind of sounds. I don't know, but for mine, I've just gotten used to what it sounds like. And it sounds really loud to me as I'm sitting here tonight listening to it, but it could just be the speed that it's at. But it's not like loud in a troublesome way. And hopefully it's not too loud on you guys' ear. If you can even hear it. I forgot I was using AirPods, so you may not even be able to hear the stitching as bad as or as loud as I'm thinking. I see there's several of you guys on. Does anybody have any questions or want to say hi while I'm able to look at the screen? I'd love to know who you are and where you heard about my live, or if you just happened to come across it. I'm Christy with Heart to Heart Creations. I've been doing embroidery since about 2021 or so, and I started sewing about a year and a half ago after I fell in love with embroidery. And this just happens to be the part I fall in love with first. I am a proud graduate of what I call YouTube University. I, like many others, learned a lot of new things during lockdowns and dealing with certain situations in the world. And prior to that, I was dealing with basically that on my own because I had developed neuropathy and had become disabled, which was completely new to me. And I had a lot of medical issues and complications that I was dealing with at the time. So when I got all caught up on every show that I've been wanting to watch forever, I was very, very bored. And I remember decades ago that I used to, well, probably not decades, at least a decade ago, that I followed weight loss communities on YouTube. And so I decided to kind of check in on them. No surprise, most of them weren't around anymore. And I don't say that as a dieting culture. I just say that as most people move on from one thing. And I think everybody had kind of moved on. So, okay, so we're done with that one. That was step 7. That's what we're looking like. Now, you'll notice there's no yellow outline here, and the red actually went over, which I don't know if it's going to do. Sometimes it'll do another one in the end, so I'm going to have to like just look and see. I don't know why it did that. I didn't bump the hoop or anything, and it didn't do it at all down here. So sometimes when you transfer things over and try to do like the copy paste thing, sometimes it bites you in the booty, and that might be it. So again, I just have this small little bit that I'm going to trim off because I trim throughout. If anybody wants to leave comments and it's just a little bit of a delay, then feel free to do that. I'm just, I'll catch up whenever I put the hoops back on. I do want to go ahead and trim this bottom piece off though. So this is hopefully the part that was blocking your view. Hopefully that won't be there as bad anymore. Okay, the next step is going to be white. Actually, let me go back up here and make sure. Let's see, 1, 2, I need to see what step 3 was up here. Okay, yep, so that's on white as well. Presser foot is up. I'm going back through. Oh, let's see. There you go. It's just a little bitty stuck. Taking off that red. Now, because my white thread is going to be one of the big spools as well, I'm going to go ahead and totally unthread. If it were on a small one, I would just put this to the side, but let me go ahead and totally undo that. Again, I'm just going to thread it up here through these little binder clips. I try to keep a little bit over a hand's width because when I get down here to thread it, I know I need at least that much to pull it through. Again, just a little bit overhand. I like to put my finger like this finger like this, and then I can thread it through step, I think that's step 5, maybe that's step 6, and then this is step 7. And then I only throw away a little piece of it. Presser foot down, auto thread it. Usually it kicks it back. Sometimes I need the scissors, sometimes I don't. This is step 3. I know that the white is probably going to be stars, but before I write it down on my little cheat sheet for next time, I'm just going to hit go and watch kind of what it does. Yep, it's the stars. So the next step I'm going to write stars. This is step 3, comma. So what I just wrote, stars, step number 3, which it tells you right here on your machine, or on my machine anyways, the color, and then in parentheses the color number. Whatever the next step is, I'll write it down here. That one step that we just did, the outline, that was that yellow one, but it was one step, it went down to 2. So it doesn't always go in order, but usually it'll be like 1, 2, 3, and then it'll say like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 if you're only using 3 colors. So this may not be the best one to explain that on. If not, I'll try to find another one. who all's watching. I see we have a couple people in here, but it doesn't tell me who. Now, because I have a single needle, just so that those of you that might be wondering what I'm doing, once it started stitching, I need to change a setting. I forgot I had it different. I need to find, I'm looking for the one needle up, down. Something else I was working on, I needed the needle to be up, but I usually sew it with it down so that when I do this step, it doesn't mess anything up. Let me, okay, so now it's stopping. Can you guys see? Okay, now it's stopping with the needle down so I can do this part. It jumped over, it did 4 stars on the left side. It's jumping over and starting a new stitch. So after about 4 to 5 needle ups and downs, I trim it off so that I'm not dealing with that big thread across the design, which sometimes helps, and then sometimes it doesn't make a difference. Thank you again, Jan, for moderating for me. I know that there's groups of people that go around looking to see. Sorry, it looked like I was having an issue. Okay, I guess it was, if it was an issue, it fixed it. So I know sometimes, especially at night, there's groups of teenagers or people that go around to different lives just because they see the live, like they'll scroll what's live. Hopefully I'm too small to deal with any spam going through like that. But I appreciate knowing somebody's there helping me keep an eye on things. And if it's just you and I will just let the ASMR of stitching be on the platter, but I'll be happy to talk if anybody else is around. And if there's anybody else around and they just like watching without participating, or you're watching me on a TV, I would love if you guys would just hit a like real quick, and if you feel the desire to subscribe, I will strongly recommend that as well. All right, so that was step number 3. I'm going to go down to step number 8. That's going to be white, but it's going to be on the bottom heart instead. I don't know. I'm trying to get this. I don't know if it was just the vinyl or if it's this paper or the stabilizer too. I'm trying to make it so you guys have a little bit better of a view, but going live last minute. Where'd my trash can go? Well, not necessarily last minute, but a different setup than normal. I didn't realize what all was going to be harder to see, so that'll be something else I can work on as well. The lighting is not as good, and the camera view definitely is not as good. So that's something I'm working on. It'll be switched around soon. So now I'm back on color white, but we're still on the stars. So that first one was step 3. This one's step 8. And so that's what we're looking like now. Yeah, I know sometimes it says 2 people, and I thought it was me and you, but then it'll go down to 1. So I don't know if it's counting you and I, or if it's not counting me. I'm not quite sure how that part works. Can you see the top of the machine okay as well, like where it's stitching out? Because I didn't think you'd be able to see it that good, especially with how dark it is. Well, you know what? I think I have a light in here too. I think, no, it's turned on. But sometimes it says only 1 person, so that's what made me think maybe there, like when it says 3, that's what I was thinking. Sometimes, like I didn't think it would count me. See, so that was like 4 pumps there, so I know it's going to be good and tied off on the back side. 4 pumps. I'm sure that's not exactly an embroidery term. Stitches. And then I just throw this little piece away. Well, I don't throw it away, I recycle it. And this is working on the right side now. See, and on my end it's showing 2 now. That's funny how that keeps happening. And it could be people coming and going. No big deal. I'll be happy to chit-chat with them if they want to chit-chat, but some people like just to watch when nobody's around or like to watch without saying anything. I get that too. There's a lot of days, and especially depending on the creator, like Tori from Seems Legit, with the time differences, like I'm usually only able to watch hers like at night because she's never live. It doesn't seem like she's live that often on the hours that I'm able to sit and watch TV. So some people I just unfortunately don't get to catch on a live basis. I wish it would show you, and maybe it does, maybe I'm just not either a big enough YouTube person or creator, or whatever you want to call it, that I can see it. But I wish there was a way it would show you as the creator and the broadcaster, I guess, who was viewing, because that would be really cool to be able to see, especially like if somebody is harassing you or something. All right, so this is the front side. Again, I'm not sure why it's not stitched, why the red stitched over. I'm hoping it'll show some more, but if not, it's no big deal. I don't worry about trimming the in between the jump stitches until after I'm done, if I know it's not going to interfere with anything. So here's the back side. So like this one stitch right here, hopefully you're able to see it with my fingernail under it. This one stitch right here, I'm only dealing with that one stitch because I cleaned it up. And like these little stars, I will go ahead and trim up the back side just so that nesting doesn't start. So this will only take a second. I don't want the nesting to start on the bottom one especially. So I'm just cleaning it up a little bit. Just got to be sure you don't, and I'll go through, like if anybody's interested and needs a little demonstration on it, I can show you, but I'm just trying to get through this fairly quickly tonight. But you just try not to cut too close. And I'm actually not even cutting. I'm taking my scissors and I'm just kind of scooting to the end and it trims it for me where it needs to. So now on the back, it's just cleaned up and I don't have to worry about nesting like I did. Okay, so now it's going to be the color yellow. So let me get my stuff out of the way. See if I can lower this down so you guys can see this part. I'm bringing my thread back. It just so happens I bought the dongle, I think is how you say it. It came packaged with the little zip tie, but it just so happens to be the perfect length to where it stays out of the way, and I can put it around my coffee cup when I put my smaller threads in. So now that I'm not using one of the larger threads, I'm still gonna take it out of this part. Again, I'm not pulling, I'm just kind of guiding it through the steps backwards, and then I just barely pull right here and it comes out. It doesn't go through any gears where I'm pulling, and I just throw this to the side until it's time for me to use the color again. So I don't have to necessarily unthread this part as often, but I'm coming back to yellow. Again, I'm starting with only like a little bit after my hand so that I'm not wasting as much thread as I possibly could be. Again, a little bit below my hand. Hold my finger here, go through step 6 and 7, and then I only have this little bitty waist, and it's just recycled, not waste. Okay, so this is step 9. Because it's on the bottom, I'm fine with starting it here, and then I'll just go back up to the steps. That part is probably a little confusing, especially if anybody's new to embroidery, but just kind of explaining what I'm doing. So now threads down, or presser foot's down. It's gonna do it's starting this inside line right here now. So I'm going to raise you guys up so you guys can see that again. Okay. While that's going, I'm going to update my little notes and check comments. So I'm going to call this inner outline, or maybe just inner line. Yeah, inner line. And this is step 9. Even if later on I'm using the same color yellow, I still put it in parentheses. There are a lot of designs where I do use various shades of yellow, so I want to know for sure if I go to make it again what color I'm working on. So I just put inner line. I know I'm on step 9 now, but I know I'm going to go back up to the top, so I left 1 right there because I know there's going to be at least 1 number there. What do you do a lot of, Jan? Just watching? Are you talking about like watching lives at night? Do as I say and not as I do. But I see a little thread that I want to clip. Just that little tiny thing, but it was way away from where the thing was stitching. But I suggest pausing your machine just a bit. I'm still curious why that yellow didn't stitch, and because the yellow, I'm just thinking out loud here, because the yellow did stitch originally, if it doesn't try to stitch it again on the upper part, on this part right here, on the upper part, at the very end, I can still, oh yeah, I do that a lot too, watching without commenting. It just did a big jump that I want to stitch. This is why I always say I have to babysit my single needle machines. I hate having to stop it and trim the threads, but that little thread can just cause so much irritation trying to trim things the way you need to. So my machine's really good at like stopping real quick for me to do that. I don't have any issues. I haven't noticed it like aging my machine at all or anything like that. So I just have no problem stopping it. But what I was going back to what I was saying, if it doesn't try to stitch that yellow on the top or on the upper heart, on the upper left part of the heart, the top part, then what I'll be doing is I'll be going back to step 1, I think it was, and restitching that. Even though it may be overkill on the stitching portion, I don't want it to be finished without having that yellow. Like, you know what I mean? If this is what it's supposed to look like and it's missing the yellow outer portion here because it either misaligned or whatever, I don't know what happened, I want it to have that yellow. So even though it'll be an extra layer or however many satin stitch would take, I would still rather have that extra and have the yellow outline to it. So that's what we're working towards just with blue vinyl. And I do have some, what's it called? Let's see if I grab it, if I can remember. It's a Pellon product. Yeah, Pellon 551 Solufilm. It's a water, WSS, a water soluble stabilizer. and you put it over like where the small white stars are, and it keeps it from caving in really bad. But with this design, when I put it on the back side, when I put the back on, it really doesn't look bad in person. So that's not something I've used it on for right now, but it is something I do keep in mind. That's a good question. Jan's asking on the live if I would risk perforating the vinyl. Yes, I would. And I only say that because I would then put that WSS down and then do a yellow outline. And also, I'm not going to sell it without the yellow. Not even as a reject. If it's not perfect, I won't put it out there. So either it's going to get perfect or it's going to go in my rejects pile real quick. So even if it does happen to tear the vinyl, the WSS does prevent that a lot. And if I do have to go over something like that, I will put WSS down first. But I know I'm not going to sell it if it doesn't have that yellow around it. Unless it, like if it didn't have any of the yellow around it, then yeah, I'd still sell it, because then you would just see the red heart and that would be pretty. And seeing it without it might be a design I do, like one of the hacks that I mentioned. So something to look into. All right, so that was step 9. So I'm going to go back for yellow. Step 4, it's going to do the Wonder Woman, the yellow W's right here. It's doing that on the top heart now. I like having that one that's already stitched out to be able to reference to for people. Well, this is doing the inner line and that. So I'm just putting 4, and then we already did step 9. And again, these are just my tips that I do, or my tips and tricks, things that I do and have learned that I'm okay with the way things look. Some people are fine selling things that aren't like the way they're supposed to look. And sometimes you can accidentally come up with some really cool looking designs, but I know it would bother me to try to sell it. So I wouldn't actually try to sell it like that. And I wouldn't give it to a friend or anything either. I used to, like, things that are in my reject pile, a lot of them, what I do with them personally is when Kaylani, who's now 7, but she's been with me the whole time I've been embroidering. And so when she's over and she's pretending to sew, or like if I have to just sew a real quick project and I know we're just gonna be in and out, one of the things that I do to help keep her preoccupied while we're in here, if she doesn't have something she wants to work on, she loves to pretend like she's on YouTube, and she loves to pretend like she's sewing and doing different things. So she loves the reject bin because she pretends she makes them, and it's really cute watching her do it. In fact, if you go back and look at some of my older videos, there are some, I don't remember if I actually uploaded those or not. I do have videos of her where she didn't know I was recording her, and she's pretending to be a YouTuber, and she'll be like, and then guys, and she'll like tell you what she's doing, and she knows this because she's heard me talking. It's like, even when I'm not streaming or recording an actual video, I still will talk and pretend like I am to get used to the things that I have to say when I'm actually recording. And she'd probably be a pretty good YouTuber, actually. She's pretty good. And she watches all the YouTube. She loves sewing and embroidery videos when she's at my house. So, you know, when I was babysitting her before she started kindergarten, she's going in 2nd grade now, but back when I was babysitting her, she wasn't even in kindergarten yet, and she would, you know, pretend to sew it. At that point, she wasn't old enough to sew yet. She would sit with me and click buttons and help me do different things, but not actual at a sewing machine yet. And she always pretended she was a YouTube star. She loved it. Now where I see that little jump stitch earlier that I stopped to trim, now that I see where it was going and what the max part of this step is, it's not in a spot where it's going to cause any issues, so I'm not going to stop the machine. I do believe that the least amount of stopping your machine you do in the middle of sewing that you can do is the better for your machine. But I do love how it stops on a dime like that, because sometimes you don't realize it's doing something and you don't want to waste either the thread or the vinyl or whatever, and you can stop it pretty quickly. So I think what I'm going to do is put, I know it has this little light here, but I think I'm going to put, my sewing machine has 3M LCD LED lighting, I think is what it's called. I think I'm going to put that under there. I think you'll be able to, I think it would help like in situations like this, even if I rearrange my room to where I'm basically just rotating the camera. But I'm glad that you say you can see pretty good up there still. I didn't think you guys would be able to. Yeah, it does look pretty good on my iPad now that I can see it. You do have a pretty good shot there. And it's 10:05 at night here, so. And Jan, if at any time you need to go, please feel free to go. Just let me know. I know that you had some other stuff you were doing, and this is just kind of background for you, but if you get too tired, I get it. I get it. I wanted to be off by 9:30ish my time, but I am almost done, just to let you know, though. According to this, it tells you yeah, you can see. This is the stitch count here. This is how many minutes and this is how many steps. It says we've only been working for 18 minutes, but that's just 18 minutes of stitch time. It says we're supposed to have 54 minutes of stitch time, but I will say the next few things that it's stitching are not very, like that red and the yellow, the solid colors that you're seeing, those are the longest portion of steps. So it won't be 54 minutes. 54 more minutes, I should say. What you doing there? Okay, so that was that little jump stitch. I didn't feel like stopping at that time because I knew. But again, see how nice and clean this looks? Instead of dealing with all the threads piling up on the back, I can't stand that. It drives me crazy. I don't care if other people do it, but as I'm working, I can't stand it. Let's see, I'm not worried about those white stars. Grab this jump stitch, almost done. At this point, because it did do a lot of heavy stitching, or what I like to call heavy stitching anyways, I do check and kind of give my stabilizer a little bit of a once over, especially on the back side and where those lines are thick, which I'll show you in just a minute. Because sometimes I will slide another piece of I'll slide another piece of this underneath so that it supports it better. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of looking in these areas, like here. I don't know if it'll zoom in, like I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I see a little bit of white, and I shouldn't be seeing any white right there. I don't have a white bobbin in. There's no white stitching, and when I put my finger on the back and I'm pushing through, it's kind of this part right here. And so, no, my bad. It is this portion right here. So because it kind of looks like the stabilizer might be tearing a little bit right there, and I do know that I do want to go up, what I'm going to do is I go through, let me show you. I won't show you this whole bag. I keep, when I stitch things out, I keep these. Well, that's never even been used, so I won't tear into that. I'm not using that color anyways. But I'll use pieces of these behind it, and I'll show you how I do that. But I just do that to do a little bit of extra stabilizing. And I basically put this part here where it's gonna offer a little bit more support, and I just slide it in. So before I do that, I want to see, let's see what step is next. Because what I also need to, okay, so the next step is going to be doing the red to separate the yellow so that you'll be able to see. And so just get this put in here, and then I'll show you how I slide it in. And again, everybody does things their own way. This is just how I'm going to do it. I know I need red thread, so let me go ahead and do that first. Usually I just leave my, honestly, I just leave that there. White was the last large cone, so I'm gonna roll that up and get it out of the way. And then here's my red. Sorry if my head is in the picture. Again, just a little bit that I'm throwing away. I'm not cutting, I'm just using the tips of my the tips of my scissors to pull that thread out. And then before I start stitching, this top one was the one where it was starting to act up, but I'm gonna try to put this in kind of at slanted so it's covering both W's and both hearts. Sometimes I can do that and sometimes I can't. But there's enough room, can you see that? Yeah. There's enough room underneath where you can slide stabilizer in. And I just kind of guess if I can't feel exactly. And if I was really, really worried about it, I could just tape it on the back side, but I'm not that pressed about it. Okay, that's going to leave a thread up on top because I left too much thread. I just stop it. Give it a quick little tug. And then trim that tiny thing off so that it doesn't get twisted in there. This is step 5. Color is red. The number of red is 1838. All this information will be in the description as well once it's uploaded if it's not already. Enter red, number 5 is the step, red, and the color of red. And then let me see, yeah, you can see that okay. So underneath, I can still see, I don't know if you'll be able to see, it's moving on me. This piece right here is that extra set of stabilizer, and then there it is on the back. So I just kind of watch it to make sure it doesn't jam things up. But once it starts stitching on that extra piece I slid in, it's usually good. It'll stay there. The only exception to that is if you have to go from like one corner to another, I always just kind of keep a close eye on it to make sure it doesn't get like bunched up, if that makes sense. Wow, it says we've already been live for an hour and a half. I hope it's an easy watch and not something that's annoying to watch. I'll have to rewatch it tomorrow or something. Okay, because it just did that across the thing, I like to trim it. Sometimes it's easier to trim where it came from. And this is after it does a couple stitches. I don't want to trim before, otherwise it'll just pull through. And again, I'm just cutting that thread jump now instead of at the end. And again, I'm moving this in case I feel like I need to put my fingers in. Thankfully, I've trained myself to grab it and then reach, unless I know to just hit the, okay, so you check and rethread the upper thread. So down here, there's no thread. That means it snapped somewhere. So before I touch anything, I kind of trace it. Is it still showing here? Yes, it is. Most of the time, if that happens to me, it's because this got caught on something. I don't see that I don't know if you can see, hang on. It means that the thread spools over here got caught on something and that this had too much tension. It's not showing that. So before I hit okay or anything, first thing I'm gonna do is lift that up, make sure that's on red. I hear my bobbin coming out, so that's where the problem's at. I mean, I should not say that. I shouldn't say that quite. Sometimes that means the bobbin got jammed up a little bit. This is where I slid that extra stabilizer in. I'm just going to check that out real quick, but it looks fine. So let me just trim that off. Nothing on the actual design seems to have caused it. Just for me, since I don't know why it did that, what I'm going to do, oh yeah, I'm almost out of bobbin thread. So I've only got a little bit of bobbin thread left, and that was a brand new bobbin. If that tells you, let's see, which angle do I need to go at? If that tells you how nice and thick that is, I'm just going to go ahead and change that so I don't have to stop again in a few minutes. Just set that to the side. Okay, and anytime I change the bobbin or the needle, which I try to do it all at the same time, but things like this happen and there's no such thing as that. This does not count as my weekly cleaning. Or this one I tend to do monthly unless I'm craft fair prepping. So it just really depends on how often I'm using it, on how often I actually like unscrew things and clean things out. Okay, again, my machine likes the P. Okay, and then where's that little? Okay, everything was good on the embroidery unit. I'm sorry, on the embroidery pieces that I'm working on. I'm gonna go ahead and put that back up. I've changed the bottom. Now I'm working up here. Again, I'm gonna go that way. Those of you that may be just tuning in, I've mentioned before, I never pull the thread up. I was just lightly pulling it to see like if there was a bunch on there, but I see here that it's a little bit frayed. I don't know if you'll be able to see or not. It's a little bit frayed. It's not like a straight stitch. So I just try to look, and I have to stand up to do this part too sometimes. Sometimes you'll see if there's like a big thread's nest. Sometimes it happens depending on like the age of your thread, how much dust has been around your thread, things like that. But usually if it's like something that's caused a thread nest inside, it'll either keep doing this or you'll see more signs of it here. I can see a little bit of fraying that started right there, right about here. So I think it just maybe got caught on, I mean, I don't know what threads do, got caught on stuff, whatever. So I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to trim off probably about 5-6 inches. It's frayed. This is where it snapped. This is where it looks like it started to fray. I'm way above that. I'm going to just trim that off. I'm going to inspect my thread. I don't see any other issues. I don't see anywhere else it got snagged or caught on. So I'm just going to rethread it just like it says. Sometimes that's what it needs. And we'll see if that's what it needed, or if it keeps doing it, obviously there will be a problem. And then what I'll do is unscrew it, but I'm not going to do all that tonight. So I left that little bit deeper, more. Okay. I'll check comments in just a minute and see if there's anything I'm missing. So that's the piece that I cut off. That was the end of it. So hopefully that took it. And then what I do is I just look and make sure it's not like Nothing new, no scrapes, nothing. I don't feel anything, so I don't think that was the problem. So I said, I'm going to say okay, because I checked everything, I rethreaded, everything looks good. But the thing that some people don't realize you need to do is you need to go back a few stitches and make sure your stitches on those last few stitches are not compromised. Depending on what the issue is, where it messed up, this one, I'm going to go back, say 10. You can go back steps. I'm sorry, let me try this again. You can go back either stitches, which are these ones, or on the side, those are steps. Like if it just messed up from the get-go, I'm going to want to go all the way back to the first part of the step. But since it didn't, I'm just going to go back 10. I'm sorry, that's close. I'm going to go back 10. You saw the embroidery unit actually move. Now I'm just kind of inspecting. It doesn't look like that was quite enough. Let me show you that real quick. I noticed, okay, it's stitched, where am I? Okay, right here, it's stitched fine. It looks like it was stitching fine. When I went back 10 stitches, it's popped like up here somewhere. I went back 10 stitches, it took me about right here. I see that it stopped going in there, so I want to take my thread back to me personally, like at least right here. Yes, it might be a little bit darker there, but it's going to have this satin stitch over it anyway, so I don't care about that. I want to make sure that integrity is good. And if you really want to know, you can also check back here. Let's see. I struggle when I have to flip things around like this, knowing where I'm at. Okay, so yeah, it looks like on the back, it doesn't even look like it went that far. Oh, it's a little bit. No, that's the other part. Yeah, you can see where it snapped. The bobbin right here, you can see, you probably can't see in the camera. I can see in person needle holes that go all the way up to here, but it actually snapped way back here. It was starting to fray. So I'm going to go back to the middle, like, see, you can see where it is. So that bottom part, I'm going to take it back up to here. So when my presser foot is moving, or if you're, I can never really tell on here. I've seen people like zoom in and zoom out. I can't figure that part out on mine, but I'm going to take my presser foot to about right here, because that's where I'm showing on the back. That's where it stopped, actually. It still shows on the front, but the bobbin actually stopped back then. So we're going to go back a little further. Let's go back 10 more. Yeah, that's about right. So that was a total of 20. I'm going back 20 stitches, not steps, 20 stitches. And then I'm going to watch it. Because it did that, I'm going to watch it a little closer as through the next few steps, just to make sure it's still going the way it's supposed to. Let me check the comments since it looks like, then you just click OK and it'll get you back to the, oh, what are we doing? Maybe I accidentally clicked something. The needle's down. Well, that was weird. Let me see what it's going to do. Okay, it's going right over exactly what it just did. And sometimes the machines do have hiccups in them. It's not going over any of the thick parts, so I'm not sure why it's doing that, but maybe it's catching up too. And I'm still, as I'm watching this, I'm still kind of watching the thread path to make sure. I do want to pull it just a tiny bit closer, just to make sure it's not anything on my end that needs to change. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but my lovely embroider machine, her name is Violet. She's stitching fine. I don't know why it went back like that. It's not going over anything it already stitched, so maybe it just happened. No, that's stitched. We're on step number 5 still. Maybe it glitched, or maybe I accidentally hit something. I'm sure I'll see something when I went back, but what I did not, like, you should be able to play around with that function that I was in even while it's stitching, I believe. I'm not going to try it right now, but I don't want to tick her off. Okay, for time's sake, I'm just going to take this out. We're almost done, but that red stitching, it is a lot. And I'm tired, and my machine might be tired too. Who knows? It hasn't been worked this hard in a while. I'm just going to, let's see, can you see? Yeah, you can't see. I'm just going to trim those back stitches up real quick, clean them up real quick. Okay, everything looks fine. This is the area that it was messing up at. And I just realized I wanted to do that yellow again too, but I'm trying to finish it. We're just going to keep pressing on from this point, but I want to look at something real quick. That's going to take me back to the red. And that's going to take us back to that one that I did. Okay, so technically we should be on the last step for this one. Since that bottom one didn't do that, let's see what happens. Oh, I need to go back down and do that bottom W. Nope, not that many. There you go. I do 4 to 5 stitches down. If it still has anything on the top, that's when I give it just a little light pull. There's nothing at top, meaning that was the exact amount of thread it needed, which usually it is if it's one design and I'm stitching like this. Thanks, Jan. It's almost done. It looks really sharp. Now, it looks good on white. Don't get me wrong. It looks good on white, but it looks sharp on the blue. That's my favorite. But I know, you know, some people like things a little different, so I try to make them in different colors just to kind of get a feel for what people at shows want. And it's hit or miss, like anything else. Sometimes they like them and sometimes they don't. So I've sold, usually I make things in 2s, and then that way I'll know if one sells, at least one sold. And if it's something, like if I go to the show this weekend and I saw another white one, I'll make 2 white ones to, you know, go back in my products. And I might go, we're on step number 10, so I might go on to step 11, because that'll be when you put the backing on, but I don't put the backing on until it's the very, very last step, because the point of the backing, if you're making like a snap tab, is to cover all the stitches that I've been showing you on the back. It's covering, this is the back, the back piece of vinyl covers that. And then you just, you know, most people wouldn't even be able to tell that I used 2 different pieces of vinyl. if you're in the business or you know anything about embroidery, sometimes you do, but I gotta cut that jump stitch real quick. One of the reasons I like to cut the jump stitches is because it was about to stitch right over it. And I don't want that tangling up anywhere. See, I'm curious if it's going to do the same thing as it did on the first W. And I've stitched this design several times before, so I know it's not the actual design. Ricky does amazing work. Not that things don't happen. Things do happen sometimes, but if you do find something wrong with one of her designs, first of all, I don't think it happens. But if you do, then you just have to message her and she'll check it out. But I've never had any issues with her designs at all. Her work is top of the line work. I only purchase from a few people anymore for my embroidery designs, and she's the number one. Her site is linked in the description. She also has a Facebook group page. You could probably just look for String Theory Fabric Art and it'll show up in the group name. I mean, excuse me, you can search under groups and it'll probably show up there. If not, I'm sure it's listed on her website somewhere. She does have freebies too, like if you, like me personally, I like to see how people's items stitched out at first before I, purchased a bunch of money, and a lot of other people feel that way too. And she's got some freebies up there too where you can check it out and make sure it stitches well. But I'm telling you, her stuff's top of the line. Oh yeah, Parker on the Porch. I have a few things from them. I found my local area and my customers, they wanted less family-friendly designs, I guess I should say. So I do still like a lot of their stuff, but I just haven't purchased enough to be able to vouch for them. But there's a lot of great places out there. And I have found too, a lot of people are listed on Etsy, and whether it was, where they started, or maybe they just run both for people that don't know to check for their website. I don't know. But a lot of times if I see somebody on Etsy I like, I'll always Google. If it's not in their About Me section anyways, I'll Google and see if they have either a Facebook page or a website, because a lot of times you'll get better pricing going directly through them, and they're not see, that one stitched out, no problems. They're not having to pay Etsy's fees. So what is going on? Oh, I guess that was a me issue. See, that one's stitched, no problems at the bottom. So I'm going to tear off, let's see, that's the bottom. Let me lower you guys back down. I'm just taking my finger through this extra layer that I laid down. Even if I still use it, I'm at the very end now, which that's where a lot of your heavy stitching will come in. So I'm just gonna, and before I put the back piece, I'm gonna remove this extra stabilizer that I put there. Let's see. Okay, so I traced both of those. Let me go ahead and take this off. And you just do it gently. Don't like do a huge rip. It's not, Hulk's shirt. Just do a nice gentle tear it off. I usually will save something like that because it's got a whole strip right there I can use. So I just tear it, put that back in my scrap file, throw that away because of the jagged. Oh, I hope I'm in this site now. There you go. Oops. Trash is on this side this time. Okay. But before I put the backing on, even if I use more stabilizer just to be sure, I'm gonna, that one's kind of tore up. I'm gonna throw that away. I don't care if the stabilizer stays, the tearaway stays in between this part. If anything, it's just going to make it stronger. So what I'm going to do now, the last step shows it's going to trace the yellow here. I'm going to go ahead and do that one. But since there's nothing else that's going to be on here, this is where I'm going to put the back vinyl on. And just to show you, this is obviously too small of a piece, but that's what you're doing. You're putting it to where this side, can you see the color difference? This side is what's going to be on the back, and then that's going to be on the front. I just noticed that this is kind of sticking up more than it should be, and I don't know why. So I'm going to go ahead and tear that off. Okay, so what I do for the back pieces, where's my vinyl? There it is. I just, let me see where, yeah, you guys can see. I take as little vinyl as I can, and usually I'll dig through my scraps and I piece it all together usually. But I know I haven't stitched this in a while, so I'm just gonna look and see like what's the easiest way I can, you know, I don't want to necessarily put a whole piece on the back. I want to save as much vinyl as I can. Right now I'm gonna finish the bottom one. So I just want to cover this bottom one here. And then that'll be enough to do that one. That's a lot more, obviously, than I'm going to need, because I decided I don't want to cut it down as short as I was thinking, because I'll do the next step in a minute. But I just kind of crease it because like that's going to be where I'm cutting anyways. And then that top portion or bottom, whichever I just measured out, and whichever fits the best. Sometimes it's that part instead. See that print on the back? I can't make any bags showing that part anyways, which not that it would. I'd have a liner more than likely. But like I want to make sure that since I know that's going to be on the inside, that's a perfect piece for me to use like on the outside of that. But I try to use the least amount that I can. So we're going to stick with this. And then this is how I do it. Are we in this shot? Okay. You're not, this is up, the thing is upside down. So you don't want to push a lot of weight. I'm going to throw that away. It was on the outside and I haven't used my tape in a while. I use painter's tape. Doesn't work so well for me. I forget what this is called. Is it masking tape, Jan? I can't think of it. But what I do, I'll show you in just a minute. I make sure that when I'm putting the tape down, this right here is the frame. So you can put weight on the frame, but you don't want to put a lot of weight on this part. So I just kind of hold it down like that. And I go through the corners. And what I try to do is let the tape catch on the stabilizer, because that's going to help it stay there. And that also keeps my piece of vinyl where I want it. So that was that in. Now I'm going to hold it down this way. It's not straight. It doesn't matter if it's straight as long as it's covering where your stitching is. And it does. This part with the silver is going to be on the inside of your track right here, so I try not to put tape on that end. And then I'm just going to put this at the top just to show you. My thumb right here, or right here, I'm still not, can you see that? At this point where the tape is on, I'm still not actually touching like this part here. But I'm not going to push my whole finger in either. I just lightly do it, and then I pull that part over and catch it on this part of the stabilizer, because that's going to help again to keep it there so that everything's nice and clean. Let's see. You know, I've heard a lot of people say that they do use chalkboard vinyl for the backs, especially, but I cannot find any locally that is worth using. My local Joann's blackboard chalkboard vinyl is really, really bad. So I just don't use it. But I've heard a lot of people say that. I didn't care for the way it looked on mine, but it was just, I think, because of the Joann's. That sticker fell off again. All right, so we're still on, where'd the sticker go? Well, I know it just fell out. I heard it. All right, well, it's not on the thread and it's not on me. Did you guys see where it went? Oh, here it is all the way over here. I'm just gonna leave it over here. It's not sticking to anything anymore. That's how old the thread is. I mean, the thread's not old, but stickiness sake. We're back to yellow, so we're gonna get this threaded through. Whoops. Goodness. Oh, okay, what's going on? Okay, again, throw that little one in the recycle. Okay. I'll leave that right there. So this says we're on step 11. I'm not going to worry about writing the steps. I think you guys get a point of where that is. In the utility section. I'll have to check. Last time, because I just remember I asked somebody where the chalkboard vinyl was, and that's where they sent me. I wonder if they gave me the wrong stuff last time. I'll have to look into it. Because I mean, as much as I love the colors matching, I would, especially if it's a black vinyl, I would much rather use a cheaper fabric if I'm getting the same results. But if not, oh well. All right, so we're on step 11 now. So this is supposed to be, I don't know if you can see the screen like really good, but it's supposed to be just the bottom heart with the yellow outline saying that we're done with this project. So that's why I'm gonna start from there instead of trying to go back to the top and do that one. I will, just not now. I saw it picked up that yellow thread, so we're good to go on that. Again, I always like to try to keep this towards the front. And we're almost done. While this is stitching out, let me raise you back up so you can see it first of all. While this is stitching out, I'm going to let you guys watch out. I'm going to grab the rivets. Okay, I do have a rivet press, and that's how I press the rivets. I'm not going to show you that part tonight because it involves having to rearrange everything just to... Oh, actually, you know what? I'll pull it over so you guys can see. But to cut the hole in my rivet area, what I'm going to do is select the size, which is usually... I don't have no idea what size that is. Actually, yeah, I have no idea. I'm not going to lie. Right here, I just kind of go by what I think the rivet that will look best is going to be. And what I do, especially for my, sorry, I saw some puffing and I just want to make sure everything on the back part's not riding up. This was what I found. I found one of these on Amazon, and it's just a little, it came with a little anvil and everything that you need, but it's several different colors and several different sizes of rivets. That's what I started with because I didn't want to invest in like cam snap rivets. For instance, that are fairly pricey for somebody new, but also I didn't know what colors I was going to use the most or which sizes I was going to use the most. So what I do is I try to match, oh, I got to get the hardware too. I try to match the hardware with, you know, the design to see, like this one might look kind of cool with a gold snap, but because I don't have any, because I don't have the swivel hooks that are, I'm just checking my stash to see if I do have, yeah, I don't have any. If I had gold swivel clasps, then I would put a gold rivet. But because on this one in particular, because of Wonder Woman, you know, gold. But since I don't, I'm gonna just use my 1-inch swivels. They're silver. Again, just bought on Amazon. And it came with the key ring as well as the swivel clasp on there. And so those are just what I use. I sell way too many, and it's not a huge profitable item for me to invest in something higher. So I just get those super cheap, like, I don't even know how cheap, maybe $8 for a pack of like 250 of them or something, but it comes together, it comes with both of these in the package, and then you just assemble them like that. This swivels, so no matter what side somebody puts it on their keychain or on their bag or whatever, the keychain's still accessible. Okay, so because this is silver, I'm gonna use silver rivets. So, okay, that says finish embroidering. I'm gonna leave it like that because I'm gonna finish the other part later. There, the bottom one is finished. This one I'm gonna go back to. The bottom one is finished. And I just realized I can't go back if I take it out to show you guys how to do the rivets. So I'm not gonna do that part then. I can show you, that's what I'll do. I'll show you on a scrap how you would make this. Sometimes designs come with like the little holes, the circles where the holes should be. Even if they come with those, I generally will delete them from the design because, let me lower you back down real quick. I'll usually delete them from the design because a lot of times I want mine either to be at a different place, or anytime it has worked to where something, you know, trying to figure out the best way to word it. If it's worked to where something is gonna, I'm sorry, for those of you that don't know, I have not only ADHD, I have some memory issues with my disability, and I don't remember what I was saying. I'll probably watch back and be like, you idiot, how'd you forget? But that's me every day. But what I'm going to do is I fold this over, and then based on how it falls as I'm making it, that's where I put it. Oh, I remember what I was saying. If it does have the hole stitch there, usually when you use your hole puncher to either put it in, let me turn this a little bit more. Either when I punch the hole punch to make the hole, the little threads are either all mixed up, or it just doesn't look good. I can never get them to look good, so I just delete them in my little program. And then so what I do is I fold it over and see where I want it to be, and then that's how I tell. Now I'll show you on here because this will be the easiest thing for those of you that are learning or just even interested. When you pick out your rivet snaps, your rivets, you can get rivet snaps. These are not rivet snaps. If they were, it would come open. This will not open, so people will have to take the whole thing off, or you can even take the key ring off, the split key ring. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that your rivet and the cap, if I can grab them at the same time. For those of you that don't know and didn't hear at the beginning, I cannot feel my fingertips. So I usually have to use tweezers to pick things like that up. But you want to make sure when you snap your rivet together, I don't know if I'll be able to do this with one hand. There you go. Maybe. No. When you use the cap and when you use the other side of the rivet, one sticks up. I'm glad that fell like that. I hope I'm in view. Just in case I'm not, I'll move a few places. Oh, there, one sticks up and one has a hole that this sticks into. So with those together, unless you use a machine or a hand tool one way, whether it's this kind of hand tool or an anvil and a hammer. Yeah, my fingers don't do well. And it's not the nails, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd just not get my nails done. But, okay. Fingertips don't work. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get this just to show you this part. There you go. Will you go in? There you go. So when you snap the two together, goodness. When you snap the two together, that's not sealed. Like, you can press it as hard as you want, but if it's not sealed, then that's going to come right apart. So when you snap it together, you're judging your width of your size of rivet, not just on what you see, but you also want to make sure it's not too big or small. So this, just to show you, kind of, that's supposed to press these two pieces, which is what that'll look like once I take it out. However, if I were to use the biggest one, this will be a good way to see it. And these ones my fingers might actually cooperate with. Trying to show you better. Oh, there's one. Oh, I just dropped it. Try again. I'm sorry. I'll do it the way that I got that other one done. So this is another size rivet. See how thick that is? If I were to try to make a keychain with this, I'm trying to cover the back part. If you want it to look like that, I guess it could be used for something. I can't think of what I would use it for. But see all that space? You don't want all that space. So I'm just going to show you how to use a rivet press real quick. I'm going to use a gold pair though, since I don't use gold that often, to show you. For those of you that don't know how to do these, I'll cut that out and finish the stitching up tomorrow. But like I said, it's basically going to look like this when it's done, only it'll be on the blue vinyl instead. When you're riveting something, do it this way. The first thing you need to do after it stitches out and you cut it out and everything, when you're putting the hole in it, the first thing you need to do is figure out which size which size hardware you're going to be using in there. Once you find it, this is why I don't know the size of anything. Once you find it, you need to make sure you're using the proper hole here, the hole puncher that matches your rivet. Otherwise, this could either go, most of the time, what would happen, this is the smallest one that I have. If you use, say, one of these big holes right here, I don't know if you can even see that. If you use one of these big ones here, if I were to put this in there, yeah, the edge stops it, but it's not the right size. So what I do is I go to what size I think it's going to be, which mine are usually this one here, I think. Yep. I put it in there and it's a perfect fit. It's not too tight. It's not too big. So that's what size hole punch I'm going to need. Have no idea what size it is, but that's the size it is. Okay, so for those of you that have never supplied these before, we're going to pretend that this is my finished project. I'm trying to make sure you guys can still see. I'm going to make sure that the hole punch is correct. And then all you do, for these two little layers of vinyl, plus the tiniest piece of this stabilizer in between, it's just a quick snap and that's it. And then I always turn it just to make sure that the hole has gone all the way. It is possible where you don't press hard enough depending on what you're making to go through. So it is important to make sure it does go through. And then all you do is you figure out which side you want the top, which side you want the bottom. And then let's see if I can do this. Okay, so I've punched my hole. I put on the rivet, but remember what I said? It can go through. Oops, actually that did go through. So that's not the right size. That was not the example I was trying to make. But that is a good example to show. I was trying to show how it would pull apart, but because I'm just showing you as an example, I don't want to waste any more than this. Let me grab my rivet press real quick. And it's heavy, so. Let me see if it's in sight too once I get it stable. This is my cam snap rivet press. I know there's a lot of different variations out there, different makers and stuff, but this is an actual cam press. Just catching up. Okay, good. We can see. So the way, and they sell different, these are called dies, and they're removable. You can change it size. This is not the correct size. In here, this is where your rivet's going to sit. So you want this to match closely to this. To be honest, I don't usually use this small size anyways, but to be honest, I usually just use this one. I'm not going to lie. And it's just a matter of not pushing too hard. A lot of people make it look like you have to use like, and some people, maybe some people's you do, but if you do need to ever, if you have a cam snap, I had somebody ask me one time, oh, I didn't know you could change the amount of pressure. I think it's this, one of these two. I'm not going to mess with it because it works fine. One of these two screws here, all you have to do is unscrew it or screw it tighter depending on what your need is. And that's all you need to do to make the pressure a little bit less. I was making sure that went down a little. I traveled with it. I haven't used it since I got back. So all you do is you set your rivet inside the press. And then I usually just kind of hold it to where my fingers are on each side. Just trying to make sure you can see that. And then you just press down. Now, the problem I made at the beginning was I would press too hard and it would cave the whole thing in. I'm going to show you. It's just a real... I don't know if it did it usually. I'm going to show you something else too. But then see, once it's done, it's good to go. And that's what it looks like. Where'd my example go? That's what it looks like here. However, if you push too hard, I wanted to show you, this is what I wanted to show you. That's why I didn't want to necessarily put it on all the way. If you push too hard and think you have to be like Hulk, you'll leave edges, which are fine. That's fine. You know, they'll come out. Like when you see that circle around, I don't know if you can see that or not. There, that you can see it there. That circle, that likely will go away. It's just from the pressure of it just making it. But you'll also, it didn't even flatten that as much. Let me try to stand up and do it, because I'm trying to show you what I used to always do, but it might not, just because of the wrong size. Yeah, that one did it a little bit. It'll dent it in right there if you do it too hard. And so I had to learn like what the exact pressure that I needed was. But even that, I guess because of the size, even that didn't necessarily make it. But see how it tore into my vinyl right there? That's because this part of the die is too big. And so that's where it was going down. So I guess if you wanted to make, hey, you know what? As a matter of fact, let me look at that real quick. Hang on. Sorry. I know it's late. I'll be done soon. I'm just curious. Can I make, what do you call them? Like behind, you know what I'm talking about, Jan? When we're making, yeah, a dimple. Where we're making little stabilizers for buttons and stuff. What is that called? I can't think of the name of it. That's a good idea. I guess if I shorten this, I'd be able to go down. Sorry, squirrel sidetrack. Yeah, I could use that as a hole cutter, actually. Okay, anyways, so that's what, that's why you want to make sure you don't press down too hard. Not just will it leave the hole, but it'll actually cut into your thing. And they do have, let me see if I can find mine real quick. They do have hand presses. You know what? That's a big mess to get into, and I don't feel like getting into there. Where's that bag I just had? They have little hand presses that you can use, and that's what I used for a long time before I could afford the cam press. This is not the tool. This is not the correct tool for what I'm trying to explain, but it's very similar to this when you look at it online, and it's just the same, only you use your hands to squeeze it. And then I just actually heard that squeeze better than it squeezed on there. So again, this is what'll happen if you have too big of a hole for your rivet. Wouldn't that be embarrassing for somebody to buy your beautiful keychain? Or even to gift your beautiful keychain. Whoops, where are you at? And then your rivet was too small for the hole that you created. So that's why it's very important, if you're going to make key fobs especially, that these are the right size hole and rivet to use inside the hole. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and log off. Jan, I really appreciate you helping me out tonight. If anybody else is viewing, I appreciate you viewing the live viewing. And if you're watching on the replay, definitely feel free to leave me any comments. I'm open to suggestive criticisms, but please be nice about it. And also know this was not a tutorial, although certain pieces like this last piece, they were kind of treated as a tutorial. But it was just to help anybody who's new who might come across my project and my channel. Uh-oh. Sorry, I was trying to put that big old rivet press back. But here is the project that we worked on. I'm not going to take it out and show you the actual step of that, but see how the back side, that blue, actually, you know what? It was still the yellow showing on the back. But I have, maybe something's wrong with my tension then actually. But I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring, I apologize. She says, it is past our bedtime, Mama. But what I'll do is once I cut these out, well, I'm going to finish and go back and fix this here. But once I cut these all out, I leave, you know, about 1/8 of an inch edge around it, as you were able to see on this one. And I just try to make them match. And when you're cutting those, what you want to do is you're going to open, my dog's having a nightmare. You want to open as big as you can. And then try to move your project. Like say we were starting over here. You want to move your project instead of your scissors. And you want to try to make all edges match as good as you can. So once I fix that tomorrow, I will fold it over, and then that'll kind of tell me where I want the holes to be. And what I do is I just hold it like this shut, and then I put my, oh, poor baby, she's having a bad dream, she's barking. I just put my hole punch in it and then squeeze down on both at one time, and I just make sure the sides are held. When I first started, that was one of the hardest parts that I was having, because it was all new to me. So what I learned was if I hold it upside down and I'm holding it where I'm going to put the hole, I can just do it that way. Of course, the silver part's not there. I just thread that on after, but I just load it in this way, and then I can make sure that they're both straight on the side, and then it's not all wonky. Some of my first ones, you'd be able to see the back side and everything, but that's what we made tonight. I hope you guys like this live, and I hope to be making more of them eventually soon. However, I'm sewing and doing embroidery. They will all be can I record end up? Sorry, I don't know if I'm missing a comment or oh, can I record and upload the process of putting in a rivet? Is that what you're asking? Or can I load this into the machine and finish? If it's, can I load this into the machine and finish? Yes. All I would do is push this back in. You can push, hang on, let me find out and make sure where you guys are watching again, or seeing again. Oh, that's the wrong one, it's this one. It says finish embroidering, you hit OK. As long as you don't remove the stuff and you don't remove anything from the hoop, you can put it back in and it'll remember where you're at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back in. Maybe I'll record that. I don't know. Unless that's what you're asking, then I'll definitely record it for you. But I'm going to go back to that first step and get that yellow after I put some more stabilizer. And while I do that, I'm going to also take the tape off of here, pull it back so that I'm not, like, you're not seeing all those inside stitches, you know what I mean? And then what I'll do, I'll record from that. Once I do that, once I get both of them done, I'll record the process of cutting them out. If that's what you were talking about. Let me pick up my iPad real quick and see if you clarified. Oh, you hit. Okay, so can you record and upload finishing it tomorrow? Yeah, I can do that. I won't do, like, maybe I will do it just as a troubleshooting. Actually, I'll do it as a troubleshooting video. Addressing, I'm at this part, I'm almost done, but look, I messed up. And then I'll do that as its own video, and I'll record that, but I won't go live for that, but I'll record it. It'll just be kind of a one-hit wonder is what I'll call it. Oh, maybe that's a good name to call those. It takes so much time editing and cutting things out, like all the ums and stuff, you know, the things that I want to cut out and make the video quote unquote perfect. You know, it takes a lot of time to do that. So that's what I'm going to call that series. Thank you, Jan. Remind me if I forget. I want to call that series the One Hit Wonders, where I'm hitting record and whatever plays goes, and that's how the video is going to go. Can you record finishing up the project and upload it later? I think cutting it out could help people. Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that. I'll do that tomorrow because I want to get these done tomorrow and get at least one put in the mill. And then, like I said, I want to finish up a few more tomorrow anyways. So I'll definitely do that. I can do that. Any other questions before I log off? I know Jan and at least one or two other people are here. So I'll give everybody a quick chance to ask last minute questions. And in the meantime, again, thank you, Jan, so much for moderating. I know it was a very boring gig for you, and I could never pay you enough because you are amazing and you never would take payment anyways. But I appreciate having somebody here who, if things did start up, I knew you would have it without any issues. And that being said, if you are watching, feel free to please like and subscribe if you found any of this useful. I will get better, I promise. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna hit stop, but I don't know what kind of delay we're looking at. So if you wanted to ask something and it just came through too late, feel free to leave me a comment once this live appears under the live tab. Good night. I'll talk to you guys soon. Aw, thank you, Jan. You're amazing. I love you, girl. I'll talk to you soon. If I can figure out how to stop it. Do I hit the X? Let me see. Let me scroll down on this part. I think I hit the X. Hopefully, cancel. Hopefully it allows me to save it as a live and I'm not ruining it. Are you sure you want to stop recording? Yes.